guys, Comic Boom here to talk about the redemption of Carol Danvers, the redemption of Captain Marvel. It's finally happened, or has it? In the pages of Secret Empire #7. Now, I'm going to be going on holidays for a week or so I'm going to I'm going to make a quick video here. I'm going to base this on a sneak preview that we have all received regarding some pages in Secret Empire #7. And I'll talk a bit about Secret Empire #6. But the focus of this video, I just want to talk about what appears to be finally the redemption of Captain Marvel. Now, this weekend, as I'm doing this video, there is the San Diego Comic-Con. A lot of hoopla going on, a lot of things said about various superhero movies, right? This is AI Iron Man. I still haven't got him working yet, but at some point he'll probably join the conversation, but I don't know when. Now, the funny thing about the redemption of Captain Marvel is that it really shouldn't have been necessary in the first place. And if we're brutally honest with ourselves, I think there's probably a side of Marvel that didn't realize that it had to redeem Captain Marvel in the first place. Because those of you who don't remember, at the end of Civil War II, apparently, remember this? You know, Marvel wanted us to believe that Carol Danvers was a hero, that children everywhere wanted to get selfies taken with her because, oh my god, she killed Iron Man in Civil War II. And, you know, she was a fascist. She was a fascist bitch. And you know, let's face it, Marvel's got a movie coming out. And we all know that Marvel Studios is not technically the same corporation as the Marvel comic books. But, you know, they still want to have some consistency, or they at least, they don't want to, I'm sure they don't want Carol Danvers to be a fascist in the comic books, and then they try to put lipstick on the pig, so to speak, in the movie, right? They want her to be a hero in both comic books and in the movie. They really have to do something during Secret Empire in order to bring Carol Danvers back, to give some of her heroism back. Now, there are seven ways that Marvel has tried to redeem Captain Marvel since Civil War II. Some of them are obvious, some of them are not so obvious. The first way that they tried to redeem Captain Marvel was by ignoring the fact that she acted like a fascist in the first place and tried to force the readership to accept her popularity, just like they tried to force the citizens of the Marvel Universe to portray them like they actually love Captain Marvel. And the way they did that was in Captain Marvel's own series. They gave Captain Marvel a brand new series. They did their Marvel Now. They started off her series from #1 again, gave her a new writer by the name of Margaret Stahl, and right away they portrayed Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, as being a hero, being loved by the masses, and people running to get selfies with her because, after all, she did kill Iron Man, and they didn't know that Iron Man was in a coma. So that was one way to do it, but that didn't fly. The second way that they tried to redeem Captain Marvel was in the storyline itself. In issue 8 of Civil War II, the final issue, they basically had it that, well, Tony Stark isn't really dead, so she never really killed him, he's just in a coma. Well, that didn't cut it either, because she clearly intended to kill him. She fought him with lethal force, and very clearly she intended to kill him at the end of Civil War II. So that's not really showing any kind of redemption. And Carol Danvers never really felt bad. She didn't seem to care that she did. We have never gotten a sense that Carol Danvers has felt any remorse or any sense that she's done anything wrong. Number 3. At the end of Civil War II, the president himself endorsed her. Now, this was bad timing on Marvel's fault. Marvel had no way of knowing that in our world, President Trump was going to win the presidency of the United States. But at the end of Civil War II, which coincided, I believe, around the election of Donald Trump, the president, in the confines of the Marvel Universe, the president of the United States in the Marvel Universe, endorsed Captain Marvel after the events of Civil War II, in which she supposedly killed Iron Man. Well, with the president endorsing her, basically telling her that she can do whatever she wants, you know, tell me some of your ideas, that reinforced the fact that she was, with all the bad publicity in the real world that Donald Trump has gotten and got at that time and continues to receive, any association with the presidency by any hero in the Marvel Universe is not going to bode well, right? Still hasn't. Another way, now this is a less subtle way that Marvel has tried to redeem Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, is in the pages of Brian Bendis' Jessica Jones. Now, Brian Bendis For those of you who may not recall, Brian Bendis wrote Civil War II. What Brian Bendis did was that in the pages of Jessica Jones, he tried to redeem Carol Danvers in one particular way. It was very subtle, and it wasn't really talked about. You will recall that in Civil War II, Carol Danvers was criticized for supporting Ulysses because she believed in Ulysses' predictions of the future, and she would arrest anybody on a mere suspicion that, or on a mere prediction by Ulysses that this person may have done something wrong. One of the people that Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, arrested and detained for a long time was a woman by the name of Allison Green. And that woman, by the end of Civil War II, was found to be completely innocent. She was an innocent citizen of the United States, unfairly detained by Carol Danvers. She was eventually released. And this woman, Allison Green, was seen as an innocent person and a victim of Carol Danvers' fascism. Well, in the pages of Jessica Jones, Allison Green really was a terrorist. And that Jessica Jones went undercover and even went undercover in prison, and this Allison Green basically was aware that Jessica Jones was in prison, and Jessica Jones, while she was in prison, was bad-mouthing heroes, etc., such that she basically went undercover, and this Allison Green was ultimately revealed to indeed be a terrorist and did have some ultimate plans to humiliate heroes and to wipe out a lot of people and blame the heroes for it, something to that effect. But in any event, it was sort of Brian Bendis' way of sort of like, well, you know, so Carol Danvers was right after all. You know, sort of like saying, see, she's not a fascist. She was right. Ulysses' prediction was right. See, she's not as bad as you think, right? So that was Brian Bendis' attempt at redeeming her Jessica Jones. But again, I don't buy it. It's still wrong. A fifth way that Marvel has tried to redeem Captain Marvel was in the first issue of her own comic book, written by Margaret Stohl, and it was a very small way, but they had Carol Danvers see a psychologist. And she vented a little bit, and she mentioned briefly, made a brief reference to the events of Civil War II. It wasn't a big reference. It wasn't a significant reference. She didn't angst, she didn't cry, she didn't admit doing anything wrong. It was pathetic. It really was pathetic. And it was done in such a way that she just breezed over it. I fault Margaret Stohl for avoiding the obvious character flaw of Carol Danvers' actions in Civil War II and to not address it at all. It was one page or a couple of panels of referencing Civil War II, and then what does Carol Danvers do in the pages of her own first 4 or 5 issues of her own comic book? She gets involved in an alien immigration saga where she's almost like a space-faring SJW rescuing illegal immigrants trying to find safety on planet Earth. And they had a small alien child, and anyways, it honestly couldn't have been a worse choice of storyline, especially since she was endorsed by the president in the Marvel Universe after President Trump in our world was elected, and you weren't going to convince me that here's this fascist who just killed Tony Stark was going to worry about a bunch of alien immigrants. It just didn't work. Doesn't work at all. The elephant in the room is still the fact that Carol Danvers is the fastest and she still hasn't been redeemed. But that has changed. In Secret Empire number 7, Carol Danvers has finally, after being humiliated by Captain America, she finally realizes that Captain America has played her for a fool. And she gives a startling confession, and it's worth reading in its entirety. She says, what happened during Secret Empire in an earlier issue, one of her allies, Quasar, got eaten by a Chitauri and then ultimately rescued, I guess, somehow. Quasar now is healing, and Carol Danvers is talking to Quasar, and she says to her, you see, I'm the cause of all this, really. Every minute we're trapped up here, every man, woman, and child suffers or dies at Hydra's hands, and I'm responsible for that. Way to go, Carol. You're making an admission there. I actually think you're responsible for a good part of it myself. I started the war, she says, that tore us all apart, that gave Steve Rogers the opening he needed to gain power. And if that weren't enough, he tricked me into building the very same shield we're all trapped on the other side of now. He played me perfectly. Yes, Carol, he absolutely did. Yeah, so far so good. This is good. She's admitting this. The first step to dealing with a problem is admitting you actually have one. She goes on, but then I was an easy mark. I've spent so long trying to prove myself, trying to show everyone that I could be this perfect hero, perfect person. I ended up just like Tony, chasing one crazy scheme after another, trying so hard to put my stamp on the world. Consequences be damned. Forcing things so hard, all they can do is break. Wow, this is really good. Carol's really letting it out here. Huh? This is really good stuff. I tried to make them love me, and all I did was give them a reason to hate me. And now all I can do is sit up here and wait. Look at all the damage I've done and wait for my chance to try and make things right. But I can't do that without you. You get that, Agent? You're Quasar now. You're supposed to be the protector of the universe. So prove it. I need you to get out of this bed and help me fix this, damn it. Do you hear me? Well, that's quite an admission from Carol Danvers. And following that stark admission, Carol Danvers then goes on and makes a profoundly stupid decision. For some reason, she's refusing to leave the space station. The shield is impenetrable. The Chitauri can't get through the shield surrounding the Earth. The forces of America and some of her other subordinates are telling her that, look, why don't we just leave the space, let's move the space station, let's go to another part of the galaxy. Why stay here? Earth's protected, it's got a shield around it. But Carol Danvers believes that she has to stay there, even though the Earth has a shield around it and it's protected. It's possible that at some point the shield might be open and the Earth will be open to attack by the Chitauri. And she wants to be there in order to help out. Of course, she doesn't realize she's putting all her subordinates, all her fellow soldiers in danger. Well, she does, but she's a soldier, and of course, they'll do what she tells them. So she doesn't want to move. She wants to stay there and hold her ground. Very stupid decision, very unnecessary, but I guess very militaristic, sort of like a Marine, never leave your post. And so I gotta respect that. I guess she wants to go out dying like a soldier, and she wants to take all her fellow soldiers with her, and I suppose they're like brothers in arms, brothers and sisters in arms. And so you gotta, I salute people in the military that have that never give up, never surrender attitude. So that's what Carol Danvers is doing, and she realizes she's done wrong, and she's holding her ground, and that's good. So Carol Danvers is on her way. She's finally admitted that she was a fascist. Well, she didn't admit she was a fascist, but she's at least admitted that she was a control freak, and she's got to loosen up. And she's got to quit taking things so goddamn seriously. And maybe have a little fun while she's at it too. So in any event, those are the ways that Marvel has tried to redeem Captain Marvel. And it looks like they're on their way to doing that with Secret Empire #7. And that will probably do it. And eventually when that shield surrounding the Earth comes down, she'll be joining the rest of the heroes in defeating Hydra Captain America. And that will go a long way to healing the reputation that Captain Marvel has for many comic book fans like myself, and also any potential comic book fan who have heard about her upcoming movie. And it should also be worth noting that in Secret Empire #6, Tony Stark, or Artificial Intelligence Tony Stark, apologized to Hydra Captain America as well. So in Secret Empire #6, we have a vain attempt at an apology by AI Tony Stark, although it's not much of an apology since it's just a computer program, even though, again, Marvel tries to insist, and Nick Spencer's insisting in the writing, and that this is actually the consciousness of Tony Stark in the computer program, which is nonsense. It's a computer program, but in any event, AI Tony Stark apologizes to Captain America in Secret Empire #6, and here we have Captain Marvel finally realizing that she was a bitch and a fascist, in a sense, in Secret Empire #7. So we got some realizations occurring here, and they're realizations that need to be done. There is one interesting thing that I noted about the publicity coming out of the San Diego Comic-Con on the images in regard to the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. I note that the imagery that they used for Captain Marvel was not any of the fantastic art of David Marquez for Civil War II. Rather, they used an old Kelly Sue DeConnick version of Captain Marvel, which you can see here, and they're not using any Civil War II imagery. And I think for very good reason. It's because of her portrayal there. And they would, and also I think because it might also be because Brie Larson doesn't exactly look good in a military crop cut haircut. And it's very interesting that Marvel Studios is choosing that particular image as opposed to the one that is associated with Civil War II. I believe that's very deliberate. They don't want in any way, shape, or form moviegoers to potentially walk into a comic shop and pick up Carol Danvers' portrayal in Civil War II. They would, if they do, and they're going to hope that they pick up Kelly Sue DeConnick's run, or even perhaps even Margaret Stoll's run, since it doesn't really reference Civil War II all that much, and it's really a completely different story. It's a completely different narrative, and there is no reference to the fastest actions of Carol in Civil War II. But in any event, I find that interesting, guys. Those are my comments. If you guys know of any other way that Marvel has attempted to redeem Carol Danvers in any other comic book in the Marvel universe, please let me know and comment below. In the meantime, I'm going on holidays, and I will talk to you guys later. So, Comic Boom out. He says bye.